Right, we're off out for a run on my wing this morning, so we'll have a little chat as we get going and see what's happening. That sun's a bit bright. Right, we've got settled down now. We're on our way. A couple of things I'll just mention about this wing. I checked the tyre pressure the other day just to make sure it were right, curiosity, because the other day I'd been at the low tyre pressure warning light come on, which normally comes on somewhere in here. It just shows the tyre with the caution mark in it. Anyway, I rechecked the tyre pressure this morning and tyre pressure is alright, but that light comes on when you first set off until it just gets a bit of heat in tyre. So basically I'm going to have to put another couple of pounds in it so it don't come on. As soon as you've got a mile under its belt, it's gone out. Now if you watched my last video on this bike, I was saying that the fuel consumption on it's not what I consider very good. If you look at the thing here, it's trip A 35.6 miles per gallon. Well, for me that's not very good. So I've run a couple of tanks off it and I've filled it up and worked it out, you know, on old-fashioned way with a bit of pen and paper, and it's actually doing 50 miles per gallon, so that's not accurate at all. And of course the fuel gauge, as you can look here, I've used 2/6 of a tank and I've only done 70 mile. Well, what I noticed was it gets down to, I'll say, what, a third, quarter of a tank, and when I fill it up I can only get 12 litres in, which is only about half a tank, because I think it's 21.5 litre tank, so it's half a tank I'm getting in it when it's, you know, a quarter, a third full. At range only gets like 160 mile. When you fill it up it'll say at range is 160 mile. Well, I know from all other things I've read that these normally do about 230 mile on a tank full. I know engine's relatively new, so I think there'll be a while it's actually, I've done 1350 mile with it now, so I'm absolutely sure motor will free off a lot more, you know, fuel consumption will go up a little bit. But I've been looking at it and apparently odd bikes had issue on the last 18 model, and because the petrol tank is a bit like a Wellington boot laid on its side, it's a lot taller at the filler end. They use two sender units and they run them in series, so you're looking at the resistance across one and the resistance across the other. So basically front to sender unit takes front half at tank, back sender unit takes back half at sender tank. Now I bought a manual for this other day, and I've got to admit, what a bloody manual it is. It wasn't cheap, it was 70 quid, and then when I got it I noticed, scrolled across the front, it said volume 1. Anyway, when I had a look in it, it has 24 sections and volume 1 covers the first 7, so I imagine there'll probably be another 2 volumes to it. Well, I'll be asked if I'm going to pay another 140 quid for other 2 volumes. the advert was a little bit misleading. We'll wait and see. It's coming back on to me about it, firm I bought it from, because they'd actually said it was a complete manual. Well, it's nowhere near a complete manual. So I'm waiting to see what he says, because theoretically, you know, he should give me my money back and take manual back. But we'll see. Anyway, from that manual I cannot tell if this bike has 2 sender units. Trawling round on internet for bits and pieces, I know this has a front sender unit because it tells me in the manual. It also tells me what the resistance is at the full and the low mark on the manual. Sorry, on the sender unit. So when I've got 5 minutes, I'll pull the seat off and I'll just check resistance on sender unit. I might have to pull it out at tank or something like that, but that ain't end of world. Right, now the back sender, the back fuel pump also has, from what I can make out, the low fuel warning lamp switch in it. Now I'm not sure if it's just a switch or it's the sender unit as well. So anyway, I'll have a mess with it when I've got a bit more time, but I'm absolutely sure that it's the sender unit what's not right, or one of the sender units, and I'm assuming, and it'd be nice if I'm wrong and somebody corrects me and tells me, you know, what a pillock. Keep middle of an S-bend and I'll in middle of the corner, what a twat. Anyway, that just lost me my train of thought for a minute. Yeah, it'd be nice if somebody knows different and puts it in comments down below whether I'm on right track or wrong track. I will get to the bottom of it. I mean, it's under warranty, but you can guarantee if I take it back, it'll be, oh yeah, well that's well within spec. Well, it's not close enough for my spec. I have another mate who's running one of these, and when he fills his tank up, it shows him a range of 200 plus miles, somewhere around 230, and when he's got half a tank, he's about 130 mile left on it, which to me sounds about right. You know, because what, 21 litres, yeah, it's 4 and a bit gallon in it, 4 odd gallon. So you know, if we were getting 50 miles at gallon, half a tank should leave him a range of just over 100 miles sort of thing. Looks like a tree tumbled in the middle of the road. Anyway, that's where I am with this. I will get to the bottom of it. It's little things like that what needle arse off me. You pay 20 grand for something, you expect it to be right. Or more right than what it is. Unfortunately, the firm I bought it from is over in Manchester. I think it's down by airport. And to be quite honest, thoughts of driving over to Manchester, you know, because it's all as busy as hell en route to airport. So if I can get more or less to the bottom of it on my own, that'd be a damn sight better. Me and my wife have ridden it about a little bit more. She seems to be settling to it. I think she'll do a lot better when it's got that other backrest on, which I'm still waiting there on the way from China. I'll update you on them when they come. I mean, rear backrest for this bike were 300 odd quid for genuine Honda one, and both of them, front and rear, from China, it's cost me 200 quid. Now I might get hammered for a bit of import duty, can't remember if that was 200 or 215, whatever. Even if I get stopped for a bit of import duty, it's got to be cheaper than the Honda ones. And I've actually looked at them on another lad's wing, and to be quite honest, he says they make them for Honda. Now I don't know that, but they're absolutely identical to the Honda ones, bar for they ain't got the embossed wing in the back of them. Anyway, we'll see what happens. Once I get the backrests on, I'm going to look at a top box for the back of it. I'm not sure which whether to go, whether to use the shad mounting, the Givi mounting, or what. The Givi mounting looks a lot stronger to me than the shad one, but then again it's like shad one's about 50 quid and the Givi one's about 170 quid. But you look at the Givi one and it just looks a lot stronger. The shad one, it looks alright, but it looks a little bit flimsy to me. And whether I misread it or not, I didn't see a weight rating on the shad one. I mean, it's not very big on the Givi one, but me and our lass, we're thinking of having a run down Europe next year. She's going to retire. I've told her to get retired and stuff, and thought we might go for a month down Spain or something like that. You know, do Spain and Portugal. Bob over on Eurotunnel. Because I was looking at price at ferry out of Portsmouth. I mean, they do one out of Plymouth and Portsmouth, but out of Portsmouth, by the time you've booked your crossing, 270 quid, I think it was about 100 quid for a cabin, which you've got to have, I believe. It's 2 nights out ferry, so by the time you bought your grub up ferry and whatever you want, you've been at pub for a few nights, you'll have spent another couple of 100 quid. So, you know, you're looking at about 600 quid to get over that ferry. Well, I said to Mrs, we can get over that Eurotunnel for about 50 quid. And we make a couple of days up getting down to Spain. We've done it before, we've roaded it down there. We took 3 days to get down to far side of Spain, on Portuguese side. Just make it part of your holiday and road it back, you know, so you take 6 days up for your holiday, you call it a week, going down and coming back. But my other dilemma is, do I go on my Yam or do I go on this? I know a lot of people will say, what the bloody hell you bought a wing for if you're going to tow out Yam? Because Yam is just bloody good. So anyway, I've got a bit of time to think about that. I brought you here to have a look at something this morning. Bit unusual. Only a 5-minute look round. You can't see a lot of it nowadays. But it's certainly worth coming for a look. Or I think it is anyway, because I'm interested in all sorts of shit like this. Yeah, right, I'll tell you a little bit of what I know about this, and it ain't a lot. So this is a Ruston Erie dragline. It originally come from America in early 50s, I believe it was. Could have been late 40s, or it was made it late 40s, come here in early 50s. and this is before I go read board. It ended up somewhere dark country, and then they moved it up to this end of country, and this is on St Aidan's. It was an open cast mine when I was a kid. It got flooded by riverbanks busting, it flooded, and hot water run into it and flooded it. So it's all been altered, it's a bit of a nature reserve now. Anyway, this crane, it was, I think, the second biggest in this country. There were actually two on this site. There was this one, which I say everybody called it Coalboard Exec, because as you can see it was Opencast Executive, but everybody used to call it Coalboard Exec. Oh, they did what I can remember of it anyway. Another one was a Rapier 2000, which were built by Ruston Rapier, I believe. The Rapier was slightly bigger. I think this is a 24 cubic yard bucket, and I think basically a cubic yard, I believe, would about a ton and a half, because don't forget this won't have been digging coil, it'll be digging overburden off top, and overburden I would guess at about a ton and a half. So you see how many ton it is. Now the Rapier 2000 had a 30 cubic feet bucket. No, 30 cubic yard bucket. So you can see it marginally bigger. We'll just have a quick look, see if I can tell you a little bit about it. She was actually a walking dragline. You can take big pontoons either side. I don't know how far you can get round it nowadays. They have an open day. Right, it was built in USA 1948. It worked there until 52 when it was disassembled, brought to England, blah blah blah. Now you see, it says in 1972 it made its final move to St Aidan's and worked here until the river flooded in 1988. Now, in 1972, my father bought an hotel in Blackpool, so as a kid at 12-year-old we moved to Blackpool, and it was in September, just before my birthday. Prior to that, my dad had an haulage business, and he had a wagon, and every night when he come home and had his tea, he used to take another load into a firm called Putsey Concrete, which were up at Putsey. And when my dad when we went at school, my dad had let us go for a ride with him on wagon overnight, and he used to stop on side of the road, walk us up to edge at mine so we could have a look down into mine, and you could see it working. I think there was something like a D8 used to level floor up for it to walk about on. But it was quite impressive. Now, I was speaking to the lad here, and he said they didn't get it working well after 72, but I know it must have been 72, because as a kid I can remember watching it. That's bucket. I mean, you could back a car in there easy enough. And obviously that chains for dragline, which is a big old piece. Now they do an open day and you can actually go inside it. If you look up on front between you can see a little cabin, and that's cabin where the driver would sit. Well, they've got boards out windows to stop kids chucking bricks through them and such as that like, but it's worth coming to have a look at if you're interested out like this. Now that thing there is, because it come from States, it actually run on 60 hertz, and because we're 50 hertz, they had to convert 50 to 60 or whatever they did it, how they did it. But it used to have a distinct with it, hence it got nickname, I believe, of Oddball, because it made this really odd noise. But I think it's about 1200 ton, something like that. I mean, it's massive. Unfortunately, quite a few years since people got inside it and they nicked all copper out at windings, so she could never work again. But when you get inside, there's all motors are in it and all that, and all switchgear. It really is worth a look. Just one of them useless bits of oh, there you go, it says up there, Bureau Series. And obviously you can see big cams there that actuate walking gear and lift and lower pontoons. I actually never saw it walk. Used to drag a massive electric cable with it, and I never saw it walk. Obviously it were never walking when my dad would stop at the side of the road, because you know we could only stop for 10 minutes and have a look, just watch it working. Absolutely incredible. I mean, when you were a kid this thing was ginormous. I know there's bigger things now. I think we had another one in this country called Big Geordie, which was up in Geordieland, and it's Big Geordie, and that was biggest in this country, I believe. I'm not sure if that went to Rapier 2000, but I don't know about that, so I can't tell you. I think biggest one in the world is something like, I think they called it Big Muskie. It was in the States, and it used to do about 300 tonne in a bucket full, and it could put it down anywhere within 6 acres. She used to work 23.5 hours a day, half an hour for greasing bits what they couldn't grease while it was running. I've only seen a bit about that Big Muskie on the internet. It apparently was absolutely huge. I think I remember reading somewhere that it could generate enough power to run Cambridgeshire on peak power, and that's Big Muskie, not this one. But anyway, it's been closed for COVID. It's quite interesting because up at back there's a little cabin, and in there they've got 2 models, one of this and one of the Rapier, and they're actually fully functioning models. He's actually using them. He's got a massive sand pit and he's digging sand out at sand pit with it. Definitely worth coming for a look at. It's St Aidan's. If you go on internet, you'll find it. Or if you even type in on net, this is obviously for England. If you type in on internet, Britain's biggest walking dragline, because that's the only one in Europe now what's left, and you know, I mean, luckily somebody saved it as a bit of a museum. It'd be nice if they could get jib up, but they'll never get jib up because, like I say, all electrics has been cut off inside it, so they can't run it out like that. And plus there won't be a power supply to it there. I mean, power supply would have to be enormous. You certainly wouldn't want to be paying electric bill on it. Me and my mate Norman, we come to Oppen Day and had a look round at it. Bloody interesting inside. If you're into that sort of thing, it's no good bringing your wife because she won't be interested. You know, and I mean, there's ladders inside and all sorts, but it's definitely worth a look. You know, I mean, if you get maybe an hour and a half, you'll have seen what you want to see inside. I mean, if you go into a little thing and have a look round, you maybe pass a couple of hours. There's some nice lads show you around in it and everything. They'll tell you what you want to know about it. I mean, I actually had a sit at driver's seat and all that malarkey. I'm settling down to this bike a little bit more now. It's awfully good. It's the easiest thing to ride. I don't find it so easy to hustle it along yet. Not bad when I'm on my own, but when I've got Mrs on, I don't know what it is about it. I mean, Mrs don't like to go fast anyway, but I maybe haven't done enough miles with her on back yet. I tell you, I'm one of these people, it takes me forever to settle down to something. Kids keep saying to me, what do you think then, Pete? You know, whatever you want, aren't you? And I can't give anybody a straight answer because I don't know. It's awfully good, but if it's, I like it, don't get me wrong, but it's, I don't know, I can't put it into words. It's awfully good, it's bloody easy to ride, it's smooth. Like I say, I'll get maybe, I don't know, 12 months under my belt and I'll either love it or I won't. I mean, I don't dislike it, it's unbelievably how easy it is to ride. And me and Mrs, we've been out on it a couple of times and we just in a sense knocking about 60 mile an hour, which, I don't know, keeps us happy, so I suppose that's all what matters. Can't say as I'm keen on that little screen I've put up front there. It's I find it a bit of an intrusion, to be honest. I think if the standard screen would have been 2 inch higher or 1.5 inches higher, it would have been bang on. But anyway, I haven't seen any different screen yet. If it bugs me enough, I'll buy some. I don't know if I mentioned, but I got the toolkit from Hunt's, because when I bought the bike, the toolkit was missing, so they sent me a toolkit through post, a little rubber band thing what fastens it in left hand side panel. What a load of crap that is. You can put it in every time you go out, within 10 minutes it's checking it's an out of there. I might have to look at a bit of sticky Velcro or something, because to be quite honest, that's not worth a toss. Could have thought they could have come up with something a little bit better than that, or at least something what had had it even. I've been talking to an English bloke who moved out to Spain, and he lives in Spain, and he has a channel on YouTube. I think it's Retired to Ride, and he rides about a bit in Spain, him and a few of his mates. And I've read a few little bits and pieces in paper what would make you think there's a little hostility towards the British in Spain because of Brexit and whatever you want, you. And I've been asking him about it, and he says he hasn't come across any hostilities whatsoever. Now, whether that's because he's running about on a Spanish plate and not a British plate, I don't know. It's quite funny really, because he was showing what routes he'd gone on from Ronda, and he was setting off in a place called Mazaron. Anyway, I happen to know Mazaron. I know Ronda as well, because I beat her both. But Mazaron, if you're ever down there on top of the mountain for the coastal defence, there's these massive guns, and I believe they were built by Vickers, and I believe they carry a 14-inch shell. They are absolutely massive. It's a single barrel. It's what you would normally see on a massive ship, you know, on dreadnoughts and such as that. Absolutely huge, and they're mounted over like a cave or an hollering mountain, and the ammo comes up from underneath into the turret, and then they were shot from there. Now I believe that port where they overlook that cove or whatever you call it, it's like a natural harbour, is where a lot of oil comes into Spain, or used to, and that's what they were there for. Now I was talking to one lad up there, and he was saying they're just about hit North Africa. Now how rate that is, I'm not so sure, but you cannot believe them until you see them. The barrel of the gun must be about 6 foot diameter. I know when I was sat on it, I couldn't put my legs over the sides of it because it was that wide. I climbed up and had a sit-up barrel. If I can film photo, I'll attach photo to the video, because by that's worth a look at. Apparently the Spanish government at the time bought, I don't know, 3 or 4 of them or something from British government. Now, I think there's only 2 left, and that's certainly one of them. Hey look, there's my happy crow. Scooby there smiling his bollocks off.